Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I may or may not have just tried to drink this Dos Equis and instead not used my mouth and dumped it all over my chin, balls, and chest.
So
That being said, this is the 3-on-1 podcast. I'm Bryce Davis. That's Garrett Campbell.
woo!
That's Clayton McCorder wearing a Jason mask.
What's up?
And this is our special guest, Felix Alston.
Woo!
Today we're going to be pretty heavily drinking and talking about why or why not Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie. Plot twist.
It's still bad.
I still like it.
Okay, so we're all going to pretty much be standing on that Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie, but we're going to talk about later whether or not that means it is at all a good movie.
Spoiler, it's not.
What you have to understand about the Star Wars movies is that they're not good movies by any stretch. There are good Star Wars movies and there are bad Star Wars movies, but there is not a Star Wars movie that it also is a good regular movie.
Absolutely not, because
This is true.
because the other two the only top three I will let you tell me is that it is Rogue One, Episode 3, and Revenge of the Sith, and then Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back.
If the first Star Wars movie came out today, everybody would be like, "This is trash."
Yeah,
Absolutely, dude. A New Hope is absolute garbage to watch now. What was that? 1970 fucking 2.
1977.
By
1977.
1972 standards, that might be. It's a decent movie.
See,
But-
I am of the very uncommon opinion that Episode 4 is a good film.
It's so boring.
By uncommon, you mean wrong.
You could call it wrong. I'm a big fan of Episode 4. I do
It's one of those things.
wholeheartedly agree
It's
that
one of
it
those
stretches.
things where, like, if you're into the entire franchise, you're like a weeaboo, but for Star Wars. You like it regardless, just because it's Star Wars.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Exactly, but I would very hard argue that Rogue One is the only movie in the entire Star Wars franchise that doesn't require the Star Wars suspension of disbelief. You can just sit down and watch the fucking movie.
That's a good word. The suspension of belief. There you go.
Yeah, you have to have so much suspension of disbelief to obey all of the laws. Like, oh man, we're gonna get into it, but in Rogue One, there's so many parts that are just ridiculous. Like the fucking when halfway through the movie they finally are finding Jyn Erso's father, and she climbs up the side of a mountain on a rickety metal ladder.
Yeah,
like,
but it's a ladder.
like 700 feet.
Yeah.
While it's pouring.
That might be a bit
Dog
of an
rain.
exaggeration.
It's
Okay.
fucking
It's pretty
huge.
damn tall.
It's a giant fucking climb.
Okay,
To
but
do on a-
she's like she's strong. Okay, she's trained.
She's
drunk.
She's
Strong with a
She's
K.
not trained. She's just like
She's
a
trained.
hardened criminal.
Yeah,
She's
Yeah,
not
she
exactly
can-
like combat
All
trained.
Yeah.
of this stuff is life or death. So if
She's-
somebody has to do it, she's probably.
She's
getting
not
ready
going to
do
do it. I'm going to beat her ass.
She is a guerrilla soldier. She's not a career killer. She's
This confirmed.
All it takes is one person capable.
Also,
of
she
being
kills
able to
0
do it.
people in the whole movie.
This is
That's believable.
yeah.
this is confirmed that Clayton McCorder is the true test of whether or not you have the Force within you. You have to beat Clayton McCorder into hand-to-hand combat to prove that you have even the slightest touch. of the
There's
Force.
one person I'm losing to in the whole Star Wars universe.
Who?
Clayton, you are also absolutely wrong because
Obi-Wan
in the
Kenobi.
in the first
Kobe
gunfight,
Bryant.
in the
Similar enough.
okay, in the first gunfight, you said that Jyn Erso doesn't kill anybody in the movie, but in the first gunfight when they are on the planet with the
She
Jedi
kills a
Temple,
droid.
she disarms the 2 stormtroopers and then turns and shoots 2 stormtroopers
Yeah,
right there.
she does
She
shoot
disabled him. Knocked out. He's just sleeping.
Disabled him with a gunshot to the fucking head.
Sleeping until he dies.
This is like that shit in fucking The Dark Knight where the Batman doesn't kill anybody,
Yeah.
but he throws him off a building, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, dude, he breaks his leg when he hits the ground. Like he
He
fell
did.
17 stories. He
The
landed
Force
on a
with me,
trampoline.
He
I'm with
landed
the
on
Force.
his elbow. He's fine.
Batman
He
didn't
shattered
kill-
his left arm.
Batman didn't kill him. Sir Isaac Newton killed him. He invented gravity. Gravity killed that man.
Dude, I'm
Are you
just
like this?
all I'm
Yes.
saying is that it takes less suspension of disbelief to think that Batman vs. Superman is a good movie than to believe that the Force exists in these fucking movies. Like,
I mean, if you're into the movies, then you have to accept that the Force is a thing.
But I don't accept that the Force is just in every fucking bumfuck motherfucker. Like, you have to study the Force. They study for years to get these powers.
Well, I think that the Force just exists though.
You
can't just be a Jedi, but the Force still exists. Like, that's the idea that it's light and dark. You know what I mean?
In the actual lore of the Star Wars universe, the Force is the power that binds every living being.
So you're trying to tell me that Anakin Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
He had a lot of midichlorians in him, right?
Yeah.
So
Highest count of any Jedi.
Exactly. So he was genetically, from the day he was born, more fit to be sensitive to the Force.
Would you say that he's genetically superior?
That's exactly what I'm getting at. This sounds like it's preaching some pretty fucking Aryan ideals in this shit, and I am not with it. Let it be known.
It's like a give me.
My wife died.
Don't make a distinction.
My wife died. I guess it's time. My wife might die according to my
killed children.
So I guess I'm gonna have to kill a bunch of kids in this school.
The illegal wife that I took, that I knocked up, might die. I have to throw away my entire fucking life.
I would do the same thing if Natalie Portman died.
Okay, so
yeah, she's pretty cute.
Okay, so let's rehash. So let's go real quick. Let's shoot over to quickly talk about the two movies that people say are the only comparable best Star Wars movies.
Episode 3 and Episode 5.
Yeah, Episode 5 in our poll glaringly won.
Absolutely.
By like 100%.
Go watch it right now. It's boring.
It was like 65%.
And so there is a problem in a Star Wars movie where you are having to immerse yourself within a universe that is not fucking real. So you're going to have so much exposition, so much stuff brought in to, once again, familiarize you with your suspension of disbelief, putting you somewhere else.
Yes.
But that gives you, in almost every Star Wars movie, I would say in every Star Wars movie, besides Episode 3, you have a horrendous middle, 30 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Where it's just a lull. And Episode 5, without a shred of a doubt, inarguably, has the hardest to get through lull. When after you get the amazing Battle of Hoth and the escape, you get the Dagobah sequence, which is just ass. When it's just like, you don't even know what Yoda is fucking talking about when he's training Luke. It's absolutely...
It's all exposition.
All exposition. All of him just subtly hinting at like what the Force is and what the Force means and shit. When he's just fucking used it already for a whole fucking movie.
Well, not the whole movie. You use it a couple times in Episode 4.
And periodically throughout a movie could be referred to as throughout the movie.
All the people from the...
I've never watched Star Trek before, but now I'm a Trekkie. I fucking hate Star Wars.
You know what, honestly, guys? Honestly, guys, I think we should start watching Battlestar Galactica, because this shit sucks.
Is this Halo? Because
Halo's better.
Halo is a lot better.
Halo makes way more sense.
It does.
That's sad.
Now, Halo's convoluted as fuck and still makes way more sense than fucking Star Wars.
I will say, though, that Episode 3 gets an absolute pass because the middle in the middle of Episode 3 is actual action.
Okay, so that's a wonderful transition.
Well, there's a lot of things like in Episode 3 that you have to like, if you like watch it for everything that it is. Like, there's a scene where Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi are talking. And Obi-Wan is like standing in like a lighter section.
Yep.
And like Anakin is standing in the darker section. He's drawing a very clear distinction between like what is like existing between the two.
Except for the first space battle, at no point in Episode 3 can you watch it without seeing 1 and 2 and it make even the slightest bit of sense.
Yeah, you have to know what's going on.
Fuck no. They literally use so much dialogue and refer to the Chancellor, and you 100%.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a build-up all in general. I guess without watching the other ones, it wouldn't be
exactly. It is so dependent on the build-up. Worse than a Harry Potter movie or a Lord of the Rings movie. Episode 3 depends on you having a significant amount of backstory already built up. You already understand that you have to 100% understand the tension between Anakin and Obi-Wan throughout the movie, or the movie just really doesn't hold the gravitas. Like, it really just seems at one point Anakin just kind of turns into an asshole.
Yeah, it just seems like he's being like a whiny brat. That's
Yeah,
rebelling
you
against
don't
his
know
dad.
It's almost
of
like
his-
Kylo Ren seems very like the same too. Like later on,
Oh yeah, because he's
a
modeling
direct
his
parallel.
life after.
Yeah.
it's almost like very explicitly like demeaning of the dark side of the Force.
Yeah, he's written as almost a direct parallel to
Exactly.
Anakin into
Kylo Ren to me is like a perfect amalgamation of what people describe the dark side as. He is
Horny?
only the bad.
Very horny.
Well,
Definitely
it's just
way
like-
too horny.
it's
Way
Because
just-
Kylo Ren
dirty.
realizes that if he thinks really hard, he can get a hot girl in the same room as him.
Yeah.
So he just takes his shirt off and he's like, "Oh, I've been lifting some weights," and he's all.
He's got his fucking pants up to his
He's
neck.
like, he's like,
"Oh,
What's
fuck."
up, Ray?
Why,
Yeah,
why
he's
does
like, "Oh,
this-
fuck, Ray, it would be really sick if you entered this room right now. I'm going to use the Force to get you here." Oh,
Why
what's
does
up,
this
bitch?
keep happening? I don't know, but my shirt is
I
off right
definitely
now.
have nothing to do with it.
Who are you taking in a WWE match? Hulk Hogan, Kylo Ren.
Kylo
Brody
fucking
Bruiser.
Ren.
Bruiser
And
Brody.
if you
Kylo
don't,
Ren does not have his lightsaber, so Hulk
Okay.
Hogan's gonna hit it with a big boot leg drop combo.
Drop.
You know where Kylo Ren's going? Straight to fucking hell.
there's a lot of good symbolism in the more recent Star Wars
Yeah,
movies.
7
It's
and
not
8,
very
yeah.
subtle,
No,
by
it's
any
pretty
means.
fucking ham-fisted.
Well, it's not
but at least
obvious.
it's there.
It's
It's not like
gotta
episode
be there.
4 where it's just a boring space
I hate
opera.
this.
It's gotta be there.
I hate the scene in episode 7 where Rey is finally lightsaber dueling with fucking Kylo.
Yeah.
And it zooms out to where they have like the perfect like Mortal Kombat menu
Yes.
fight pose. They're
Exactly.
all.
Or there's the very blatant use of lighting in episode 7 as well when Han Solo his face is basked in light and then Kylo Ren's is basked in darkness and then his face lights
It was
up
all
dark red with his
Sends you
lightsaber
to
and he
hell.
fucking kills his dad.
okay.
Bullshit. Han should have lived.
Okay, but so to get us kind of back on track, we're gonna go back to Rogue One.
had-
So we need to get into. We've talked a lot about why Star Wars movies kind of suck.
Yes.
But so let's talk about Rogue One. So Rogue One is without a doubt, undisputedly, whether or not you think this is a good thing or a bad thing, the only movie that from the start to the finish holds itself together. 100. The protagonist in Jyn Erso, you get her backstory at the start, and she dies at the end. You get the bad guys, like a lot of exposition for him and whatnot at the start, and he dies at the fucking end with everybody fucking else. Literally every significant character you are given within the it's almost like I'm drunk, dickhead. But every significant character you're given in the first 45 minutes is dead by the end of the movie.
Yeah. And it's a very good way to self-encapsulate everything.
It is the only
Well, it's like
a thing that always pissed me off about Star Wars movies is how it's not acknowledging like the toll that the war takes on the
the
surrounding.
reality.
Because when they destroy the Death Star in episode 4, that kills 2 million fucking people.
Oh,
More than that.
in the novelization, I think the Death Star is supposed to have a crew of like 10 million people.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
like a
I'll
small
never
planet. And
forget-
they're- half of them are fucking dead.
The
Oh,
first
if
time
not
I,
all of
most
them.
all
I
of them.
ever watched Rogue One in theaters, at the end of the movie, I was so sad because all of the like every single one of the people that are significant just died. And then afterwards, after I had a moment to think about it, I was like, this is what makes the entire movie.
Exactly. That's the
It's
story that
Halo
is
reached the movie.
it is
Yeah.
showing you that wow, this small death toll is nothing in comparison to what the good guys
Yeah.
will do in the next movie.
Just
Kill-
people actually died here.
Exactly.
There- there's a
Everybody is
whole
significant.
there's a
Every
whole
single person is significant, and everybody is going
alternate
to
way that you can view Star Wars, and that the rebellion is just a really fucked up group of terrorists that just killed
Exactly.
so many.
That is
Imperials.
something I really wanted to get into. So in the first battle sequence, when they're kind of coming up on the what's the planet called? With the-
Scarif or Edu.
No,
Which one?
the planet with the Jedi Temple.
Fucking
Jeddah.
Jeddah.
Yeah, so when-
Jedi.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that until just now. But so when the
Idiot.
when the first gun battle starts, the
Yes.
other rebels attack. And so not only is that battle sequence fully portrayed like it's like the Al-Qaeda attacking
Yeah.
a convoy. Like it's
God.
super guerrilla,
Agent
super
inbound.
terroristic in the way because you
Yes.
see women and men just die. The only civilian that is focused on is the child that they save.
Yeah.
But women and men are just getting blown away, dying in the crossfire. All these people die in that sequence. That is the first sequence out of the 7 Star Wars movies that come before this that really focuses on the fact that this is a war,
Yeah.
that there are people dying. Like when
It's
it
not
first
just a bunch of faceless stormtroopers that the rebels are just taking out.
Exactly, like when you have Cassius, when you're first introduced to Cassius, almost right at the start. Cassian. He covers the dude's mouth and shoots him,
Mhm.
and just guns a just an
an
informant, just
yeah.
a random guy, just guns him down the street, doesn't give a fuck. This is war.
Yes.
Right off the bat, of those first 35 minutes, fully establishes there are civilian casualties. This one is different. This one is a war. We're going to talk about why this is a war.
It's not just faceless good versus faceless evil. It's showing
I think
all
it's
the
like
gray
this
areas
is where
in
you
between.
start fighting the entire empire, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is like actually like pretty significant. Like
Yeah.
they're kicking ass.
they
For
are,
what they are.
but they're being very, very.
Motherfuckers is
brutal
dying.
about it. A
Yes.
lot of folks
Yes.
are dying.
So many people die, whether it's on the Death Star, whether it's in that scene.
Yeah.
There's probably like 40 men lose their lives because they are not clones. It's like a named 4,000 versus a faceless, immense onslaught
Yeah.
with weapons. Oh my god! Don't even get me started. on
They
the
can
Force-
literally kill entire planets. dude.
Exactly on in the Force Awakens when they have like the galaxy shooter machine.
Yeah,
that
the
shit pissed me
Fucking Star
off.
Killer base. It's like the Hyper Ultra 7X Death Star.
Exactly,
The
it
entire-
kills like in
It
that-
kills
in-
7 planets at once.
7, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
The
destroys
entire
7
thing
planets
just
at once.
comes back to the disparity between the light and the dark, and the fact that it has to be balanced.
When a total of 11 good guy planets have been wiped off the Earth, and only the Death Star has been destroyed in response.
I will say though, I don't remember what the book's called, but it's a really, really good Star Wars novel. It's been taken out of canon now. It's in the expanded universe, but it talks about a group of people on the Death Star in the days before the Rebel raid, and it talks about like a stormtrooper. There's a cantina runner, and then someone else, and then that's what this book was trying to show. It was trying to show that despite them being employees of the Empire per se, they were still just people doing their jobs.
Yeah.
So it's revealed
Yeah,
at the end
100%.
where only like
It's still intense collateral.
yes,
Like, it's
out of
still
like the 10
9
million
million people
yeah,
getting killed in the explosion.
exactly. Like it at the end of it, like 3 of the 6 people that the book focuses on escape, and the rest of them just get
But
obliterated.
so let's kind of get a little bit more back on track and talk about how. So, you can argue that Revenge of the Sith, having the amazing battle scenes that it does have,
Yes.
makes it more exciting than any other Star Wars movie. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Hoth battle in Episode 5, that's one of the best scenes. The Endor battle in Episode 6 is amazing. Even
I will argue
even
against that till the day I die.
even in Episode 1, Phantom Menace, you have the Gungan battle.
The Gungan
which
battle's
is
great.
really good, and then you have Episode 2, which is ass, start to finish. That movie sucks. But you have the Coliseum
The
fight.
last 20 minutes is good,
Yeah, when you have the Coliseum fight,
which
when
is
you have
sucks to say about a movie.
yes, absolutely. But Rogue One, without a doubt, fucking is Goliath to the David of all of those in the last 40 minutes.
Oh, absolutely.
You have that battle is fucking insane. When you have like the guerrilla tactics of everybody, when you have the pilot calling and saying that the soldiers are somewhere they're not,
Yeah.
and it's just so. And the way that they have the AT-ATs that will
Yes.
be used in the Hoth battle are still in prototype mode and are just getting ripped apart. Like you see why they have to build the shields on them because
Yeah.
they just can't hold up
Personally,
to anything.
I like
Yes.
the whole movie in general. Like just like the begin, like the first half is like they building up. So you have all the character building and everybody's like you realize who everybody is and where everybody is and what their position is and why they're doing what they're doing. And then like the moment that like they test the weapon and they just annihilate the whole city, and it zooms out. You can
Everyone
see it,
changes.
You can see it from space. This is where it like amps up. So the first half is, for me, it's still good. Like it's character building. You can't have the
100%.
second half without the first half.
Exactly.
So it's like, for me, it's not boring. Like I'm understanding what's going on in the entire story and what it means in comparison to all of the other movies. And then the fucking city gets annihilated, and that's where shit gets real, and all the like. The battle starts. The real battle starts, and like everybody starts sacrificing everything. Everybody, like people start dying. Like I said earlier,
because they keep hammering in that rebellions require hope.
Yes.
When the real message I am receiving is
not
that
only
the
that,
sacrifice is what is required for
Yes.
the
Not only that, but if you listen to the part where they say there's like 2 or 3 points where they say, you won't win this or something like that. I can't remember what the phrase is.
I think it's you won't win this. Yeah.
Yeah, you won't win this.
Happens
Like
at
that.
the beginning and then at the end.
Yeah, because that's what
There's like 2 or 3
Galen
points.
says at the very start.
Mhm.
It's
And
what
Erso, I
Lyra
think,
says.
says it.
Yeah.
The wife, and then she gets fucking capped.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, and then Krennic at the end.
Spoiler alert! Beginning of the
Yeah.
movie.
By the way, we're
By the
very
way-
very thoroughly spoiling the Star Wars films.
Everybody dies.
Okay, so if you are clicking on this episode and you haven't seen a Star Wars movie,
What the fuck is wrong with
yeah,
you?
what are you doing? You are
First of all,
jumping 4 feet deep into a 10-foot deep pool. You
Yes.
fucking idiot.
If 6 feet is dead, you're 4 feet in right now. Try to climb out.
So
No.
back to episode 3.
Oh Christ.
So
I mean, it's good.
episode 3 is a very good Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's good.
Sure.
It's-
Comparatively,
It has,
I like it.
in my opinion,
It's bad.
the
I
the
like
best lightsaber fights.
Yes.
The Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
That was. I
No.
think that was.
fight.
I think that was
No.
a one shot.
Incomparable.
No, absolutely not.
Incomparable.
That is in no way true.
No.
Episode
like-
1, The Phantom Menace, is absolute ass, but there is no sequence with a lightsaber turned on
Well, like, in
that
epi-
is better than when Darth Maul reaches his shit out, turns it on in the next 20 minutes. That
Holy shit.
dwarfs
Well,
in
like in
comparison.
episode 3.
When they're on the fucking lava, that is so bad.
Trust me, they burned so many Hayden Christensen
No,
clothes.
absolutely not. If you're trying to tell me that sword fight is better than them
It's so
fighting
much better.
against Darth Maul, absolutely
So
not.
much
They
better.
have there's at least exactly like Clay just said. There's at least like 10 minutes of that 20-minute fight where they're just like standing on hovering boards, just like swinging at each other's fucking
It's
feet.
about 30
Well, if you,
seconds
in
to a
Star Wars,
minute.
in episode 3.
Whereas the only fucking part in episode 1 in that whole fight where there's a cease, where there's a lull, is when it has the biggest tension building.
Yes.
When the
Yeah.
fucking walls come up.
Okay,
And you have one guy meditate, one guy just stare, and then Darth Maul just super
Pace.
angrily fucking
if you
pace.
pay attention to like everything like what the characters are in episode 3, though, you have to understand like everybody, like for all of the Star Wars, everybody has considered Anakin to be superior to Obi-Wan, and if you watch the whole fight, Obi-Wan is always on the defensive during this whole fight, but in the end he comes
Would you
out.
say he has the high ground?
He has the high ground. And like, but that's the thing is like Anakin is like dominating him
Oh,
during this
no.
fight.
Fuck no. Okay, so the high ground quote is what makes that whole part insane. Because there are so many sequences in that fight where someone does the exact jump that takes his legs out from underneath him. In the parts where they're like magically hovering on the fucking like droids
Yeah.
and the little platforms and shit, where they have to make that leap over the other's head. That's the whole point of the high ground thing, is that Anakin tries to leap over Obi-Wan and he just
Yeah.
cuts his legs off. There's at least 3 sequences
Well,
in
like,
that fight
you can
where that
imagine-
exact
you
thing
gotta
has
imagine,
to
like,
happen.
If somebody did it
But they're
once,
on- they're
if
on
somebody
equal
did it
footing.
twice, you do it again, I'm gonna fucking cut your
No,
legs off,
they're,
dog.
they're on. So one person is jumping completely unstably off of a platform, while the other
The
is
Force,
standing
dude.
firmly footed, even if he's using the Force, absolutely on a platform, has the exact same fucking advantage. If you have to jump over my head, I can cut your legs out from fucking underneath you.
They're both very skilled though, so you gotta imagine that he's not making that jump like haphazard.
Not
He
to
knows
mention,
what he's doing.
if we're gonna start talking about episode 3, you have to talk about the acting in the scene that leads
Bad.
up to that fight when
Bad.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart. Look at where you've become. You're going down a path I can't
Or
follow.
when he's all, Anna Christensen's trying to
You
pretend.
turned her against me.
he's pretending like
Just
Evan
because-
McGregor's not 3 fucking inches taller than him, and he's all, "You will try."
Just because I killed
I can
children
requote
literally before this doesn't mean that I'm part of the dark side.
I can quote that scene back by memory, but the whole reason why I stand by the fact that the lightsaber fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, to get back on track, at the end of episode 3 is the best, is because it's finally a release for all the build-up from episode 1, showing Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship and deterioration.
That makes that movie so weak, because that is a 12-year, 10-year. I think it's 10 exactly. 2000 exactly.
99 to 05, 6 years.
Yeah.
But in the whole scheme of the movies, it's 10. It's like 15 years.
I don't give a fuck about the lore. I'm talking about as a movie. So we're saying a 7-year, including 2 movies that are dog piss, that suck ass. You have to sit through literally almost exactly 7 hours of content that suck dick for that fight to mean anything to you at all. Because once you're halfway through the sword battle, it has a lot of them like looking at each other, kind of the Darth Maul way, and just talking.
Which fight are you talking about?
In the final fight in episode 3.
Okay.
That has no stakes at all. If you haven't seen 1 and 2, but 1 and 2 are both really bad.
Yeah, there's.
I think that like you can't like take any of those movies at all, like on their own at all. Every single movie has something to do with every other movie. Like even in The Force Awakens, like or The Last Jedi, like there's like scenes that like reference back to like 5 movies ago.
Yeah,
and it's like when Luke is standing there, he's watching the sunset for the second time. Like you're not gonna understand that if you haven't seen the beginning movie. Like everything has something to do with it's the whole thing. You have to take the whole thing as its own thing.
It's a good thing about the movies, and it's a very bad thing about the movies. It's cool that it
you're
ties
either into Star Wars or you're not. That's what it is.
It's cool that it ties everything together, but it's bad in the sense that if you don't know the movies, you're totally lost.
Well, I think you have to understand what all of Star Wars is the light and the dark, and they're both the same. They're both balancing. That's it. That's as simple as the movies is.
Yeah,
everything else is just that.
None of the things either of you said in this 2-paragraph argument have had anything to do with Rogue One. Rogue One breaks every barrier we've just talked about. Does not give a tuppeny fuck about the light or fucking dark side, even remotely at all.
Well, it's all sacrifice.
No prior knowledge has to exist to watch Rogue One.
No.
Even for the whole Death Star and everything, they pretty delicately
they explain exactly what it is.
What the Death Star is. You don't have to know what it's going to do.
Yeah.
You also don't have to know about the army that they're facing that has been built in the last 3 movies. That movie, start to finish, stands incredibly on its own at a probably 7.5 movie.
Yeah,
whereas
for
if you cleared your brain and watched any other Star Wars movie,
you'd be totally lost.
You'd be totally lost. It would suck. It would be a 3 out of 10.
Each individual Star Wars movie, like that, I guess that's the downside of it, is that like you have to take them all as a collective.
Yeah.
Whereas Rogue One,
they're not individual. So I think what we're trying to get at is that every Star Wars movie other than Rogue One is
sucks.
like the Pee Pee Poo Poo Man movie.
Yes.
It's garbage.
Yes. Every Star Wars movie, I would honestly say, besides Rogue One, taken as a movie standalone,
I can't remember.
Sucks fucking ass.
Yeah.
Besides Rogue One, and Rogue One's only a 7 out of 10 for sure. It's not a fantastic movie.
No, there's a lot that could have been done better.
It is an incredible to watch movie if the entire Star Wars series had the production value and the passion behind it as Rogue One. The series would be unstoppable.
It would be incredible.
And it's already unstoppable.
So
but it could have been way more.
It would be like how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now.
I actually lived in Modesto like back in 2005, and I can't remember. And before 2005, which is George Lucas's hometown, I can't remember like when did George Lucas stop having a significant impact in the directing of these movies, because he's actually like not a
in the gap between Episode 3 and The Force Awakens.
Yeah. He sold Lucasfilm to Disney between Episode 3. Well, really, his last real hand that he had in pretty much anything was the Star Wars: The Clone Wars series that started in 2008 with the movie. That was about the last thing he had his hand in. He's been on 7, 8, Solo, and Rogue One as like I think they call it like a lore consultant or something like that. But he has not been a director. He's not been a producer. He hasn't even been a writer on it. He's just there so they can be like, "Hey George, is this good?" And he'll go, "Oh, sorry, I gotta get my neck ready like him. It's all part of my vision." Or, "It's not part of my vision." But yeah. So Bryce just stepped. Oh, there he is. He stepped out for a second.
No, Bryce is gone forever.
Okay.
I'm gonna be talking as Bryce in his voice for the remainder of this podcast.
Okay, so I am back, and to kind of bring us back on foot, and to just kind of end this on a pretty good note, what we're gonna do.
I kicked the mic.
So-
I'm sorry.
Garrett, you
Yes.
first. 1 to 10, including its effect on the canonical universe, and more importantly, though, its actual stance as a movie.
As a movie,
From 1 to 10, what do you give Rogue One?
I give Rogue One a solid 7.5. I think that it's a very good movie that bridges the gap between sci-fi and action. It's not. You can look at it as a Star Wars movie, and it's the best Star Wars movie. You can look at it as a sci-fi movie, and it's a very entertaining sci-fi movie.
Absolutely.
It's not doing anything new. It's not, making the wheel again. There's nothing that's super, like, innovative about it.
No.
But there's nothing that's super boring or heavy-fisted about it either.
I love it.
I think it's a very good and entertaining movie. That's all I can say about it.
All right, so Clay,
Yes.
from 1 to 10, what would you give Rogue One, honestly?
As a Star Wars movie, is 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. But as a movie by itself, pretend it's not Star Wars, just pretend it's Rogue One, not Star Wars. 4 out of 10. It's so fucking boring in the middle. The last fight scenes are awesome. They're really fun. But
Yeah, the last
Yes.
40 minutes is untouched.
after the first 20 minutes to the last 20 minutes, that's fucking boring as shit. Just look at your phone the whole entire time. Just listen to it in the background.
I will
You will
agree
miss
that
nothing.
after the Edu scene, it's a little rough.
Exactly, but every Star Wars movie besides Episode 3, which is hard to stand alone, and that's it, has
Also
a
that
has
same
a
thing.
lull that is in the middle that is way worse.
I would wager that episode 6 is a lull the entire movie. But that's just because I hate episode 6, and we might go in depth on that more in a future
Yeah,
episode.
we can have an episode about that. I would tell you that the lull is Episode 4. Episode 4 and Episode 2 can both lick the skin from under my balls.
Hey, 4 plus 2 equals 6, motherfucker. What's
4's
good?
so
Wow.
fucking boring. It's
Okay,
not even
so-
funny.
Now,
Alright, Felix.
Felix, from 1 to 10, both as a movie and as a canonical feature, what do you give
Okay,
Rogue
so
One?
personally, like I usually tend, like when I'm watching something, if I'm gonna watch it, I'm committed to watch it. I try to get like immersed in it. So like I give this movie an 8 out of 10 personally. Like if I'm gonna I enjoyed it. Like it actually took me a minute to respect it and like realize what it was I liked about it. Because like the first time I watched this movie, I actually really wasn't happy with it, just because specifically what the whole movie was. Where everybody died, just because I was so used to what the canon and the usual like story that you would hear in one of these movies was. Like even Anakin didn't die.
Yeah,
Originally.
well, yeah.
And it's
you
like
guys-
nobody dies. That's what the story is. Like nobody ever dies in the story. But in this movie, like it was like the ultimate sacrifice, and everybody fucking dies.
Oh,
And, like
yeah.
and when I realized this, and I was like paying attention to like what the whole story was and what it takes as the whole sacrifice. This is like for me my favorite Star Wars movie. And like just as a movie as a whole, I take it as like an 8 out of 10. Like I can sit down, I can watch this, and I can enjoy it. Like as a movie. Like I
Sure.
can get into it, like the whole movie as a whole. Even in like the parts where everybody's like, "Oh, this is a lull." Well, that's usual. Like you're not gonna get a movie where every single minute of like 200 minutes is gonna be action. It's not gonna happen.
I would argue that
I
there are
enjoyed
some
this. I
movies
enjoy-
that
I
keep
enjoyed
you
this.
engaged the
There's
whole
plenty
time.
of movies that start to finish. That's why it can't even touch above.
Well, like I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10, but for
Sure.
me, it's
No,
an 8,
yeah.
it's an 8 out of 10.
For
I
sure.
enjoy this
For
movie.
sure.
I can sit
Absolutely.
down and I can like this movie.
Sure.
I will say it was a very welcomed departure from the classical Skywalker story.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Like, there
focused
was-
on the same incestual family.
There was good skill. There was good enjoyment. Like
Yeah.
funny. Like there was funny in it. There
Yeah.
was like a little bit of action in it. A little bit
I'd say
sad in
there's
it.
a lot of
little
action
bit
in
of
it.
drama in it. Like it was just good overall for me. Like I enjoyed it.
Fuck yeah.
Would recommend.
Good.
So to end on this last part, I would say Rogue One, 100%, undisputedly,
Yes.
is my favorite Star Wars movie. I would say but that still being said, I would say it only holds up to about a 7 out of 10, because taking apart, using my argument that it is the only good standalone Star Wars movie,
Which
it
it
is
is.
still not an incredible movie. It has nothing
Fuck no.
on. Absolutely not. It has nothing on A No Country for Old Men. It has
Oh,
nothing on a
absolutely
fucking
not.
Notebook, for fuck's sake. It doesn't have anything on these great iconic movies. Goodfellas, The Departed, fucking.
I guess you could say that it's kind of simple.
It is incredible.
But I still
At its
think
core,
that
that's
it's a
what
very
Star
good
Wars
movie.
movies are. They're kids' movies.
Yeah, but like graphically, it's good. At least good. The actors, they're pretty good on their own. Like for me, like I said, I tend to give like some of these movies. If I get in a movie and I enjoy it, I'm gonna give it a slightly higher like rating than maybe I would. Like maybe it's only a 7, but
Sure.
I like it. I like it as an 8 for me personally,
Sure.
compared to all the other Star Wars. If
Yeah.
you're taking the story in the canon.
Yeah.
So to put all of our 4 opinions together here at the end, I would say
7.5.
that Rogue One is undisputedly the best Star Wars movie, but that does not quite make it
A good
a
movie.
great movie.
That's kind of sad, like if you consider all.